since Mr. Session resigned, there has been a lot of turmoil and running around in that department. As we all know, Whitaker, Mr. Whitaker, has taken over for him right now. But Mr. Whitaker supposedly only can serve 220 days because he hasn't been approved through Congress. There are people waiting now, like Christie from New Jersey and a couple other ones, move in and take over when Whitaker quits or goes out or his time's up. The things that seem to be bothering most of the people naturally are how Whitaker and Mr. Mueller will get along and how will they react with each other, because Whitaker has said several times he did not like Mueller's investigation and things like that, and it wasn't necessary, and he was against it. Now, this has been a while ago. Whitaker is from, I think, Iowa, and he was in Congress out there, and he worked as a lawyer out there for the U.S. government. So that's going to be the big tension and play out right now. The one thing, Mr. Mueller is required to submit a report to the Attorney General, which would be Whitaker, and nothing in the department regulations prohibits Mr. Mueller's Department of Justice Superior, now Mr. Whitaker, from refusing to release the report. So supposedly they're working on this report now as hard as they can, because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know how long Mueller and his people will be there. And there have been all kind of people coming up with proposals. One of them is cut off his money. If he has no money, I mean, nobody's going to work, including those 15 lawyers, and he won't work. So that's one thing. But, and the other thing is, whether you're just going to tell him, you know, you're fired, just like I know he's going to fire some of these other people. Rosenstein, I guarantee he's firing him. And Sessions is gone. So that's what the problem seems to be, is how tough these people are going to get so quickly. Now, naturally, he can go to Mueller tomorrow and just tell him, you're fired. You know, and turn all your records or reports over to me. But naturally, like I said to start with, if Mueller gives him his report, Whitaker doesn't have to release it. So I don't know what's going to happen, and they don't either, but they seem to think that Whitaker will not fire Mueller, and he might try to have a real calm relationship with him. So let's see what happens on that. And some people are saying Mueller shouldn't expect a crisis, because naturally a crisis would mean no money, no money, no nothing, and nobody's going to work without money and pay. Yeah. And that would be one way to get rid of him without just saying you're fired, like Sessions got the axe. But there are also many steps that are far short of shutting down the investigation, because naturally if he fires Mueller and all his people, then the investigation shut down. Mueller's been working 18 months on this, and I don't know what it's cost us taxpayers. but it has to cost us millions of dollars. So naturally, he can go in tomorrow and say, "You're fired. Take all your people. Goodbye." And another thing that Whitaker can say is, "Look, I'm squeezed myself, and I'm going to have to transfer a lot of the assigned FBI agents that you're using to somewhere else for more important tasks." So I don't know if Mueller's people would work, or Mueller, with no protection, because every time you see him on television, they're always walking down the hall with all kind of people around them, and those are probably FBI agents that are there to protect them, because they're dealing with some real touchy matters, especially all these people getting sentenced that worked around Trump. And like we talked about that Cohen guy yesterday, and I think he settled it. I think he settled his deal for 4 years going to prison. But before he settled, they had that thing all stacked up against him. I don't know how many years. He said somewhere before that he could do 26 years. And then I heard from some other people it was way more than 26 years. But anyway, after he did the negotiating, and now he's supposed to testify to this agreement he signed before a judge, he got it down to about 4 years from a huge amount of time before. And naturally, if he does some of these things, Whitaker, like cutting off all the FBI, cutting off their protection, cutting off their money, which is what a lot of people said, then that would be the same thing as telling Mueller, goodbye, it was nice knowing you. So the another thing is, since this election, the Democrats are in, and the Republican Senate, and Trump thinks that the gains in the Senate through the election will insulate him from scrutiny. Like he thinks since they gained these seats in the Senate that they're not just going to start running after him and wanting to take him before the House if they make a motion to impeach him. Supposedly that's going to be all real calm. I don't know. I think they're going to start impeaching him immediately, or trying to, and we'll just have to see what happens on that. But another one, Rosenstein, I think he'll be fired immediately, and Rosenstein will be fired. I don't think he's going to fire Mueller immediately, although he could. He has the power to, even though his power is only good, Whitaker's power is only good for 220 days. And another thing in the news is Justice Ginsburg fell and broke 3 ribs. She's 85 years old. And that's a picture of her. That's a real serious item for a woman 85 years old, because unfortunately I've had the same broken ribs, and they can just about ruin your life. But I had it when I was probably 17, 18, and you can't sleep, you can't lay down in bed, you can't touch them. You got to watch how you move, and I don't know. I like her. She's done real good work, but 3 broken ribs and 85 years old, and I think she had a couple bouts with another disease a little while back. But I might think it might be time for her to retire. Although I like her, and she's famous, She'll always be famous. But 85 years old, 3 broken ribs, because I had it about when I was maybe 17, 18, they about killed me. And I don't know how it happened. I went to a doctor. He said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Oh, my back hurts." So he laid me down on this table and took his hands, put them together, and just cracked my back. I guess, I don't know what he was figuring. I guess he didn't know I had broken ribs. That just about killed me. I could hardly get off the table and walk out of his office, and I was only 18. So I know the problems that she's having at 85, and it's really rough. It's bad.
Yeah.
And those ribs are very slow healing, and you really should. I don't know how you gotta sleep. It's hard to sleep in a bed. You can't sleep on the couch, but that's something that just happened, and I feel sorry for her, but I think she should also, with those 3 broken ribs, take a look at maybe retiring. Plus, she's 85 years old. Thank you.